Holy Batman, it is Friday, and everybody knows what Friday at noon means. Do you know what that means?
I'm learning.
Oh my God. It's Finance Friday. Rob Morales, our CEO Network, here on Fridays at the noon hour. And look at that. He hit the noon hour when we're supposed to. We're not here at 12:30, not here at 1. But we're making a difference. We're making a change. So again, Rob Morales, our CEO Network, coming at you, bringing you information about your money, your finances, everything else in life that brings you more money. So I'm with me today, if we turn down our microphones, as a special guest. She deals in wholesale. Her name is Miss Sady.
Sady Ramos Flynn.
Oh, hold on. I'm working on the intro.
Oh.
Sady Ramos Flynn. It doesn't have the R. It just says Sady, or is it Sady?
Well, some people can't pronouncing Sady, so I'm okay with either Sady or Sady. If you can pronounce Sady, I'm good with that.
Sady. Looks like Sady, though.
But I can rock Sady as well.
You can rock Sady?
Absolutely.
Oh, dang. Hello, Finance Friday. So we have Sady here. Sady. I'm screwing up already. So we have Sady here talking about wholesale. She is in real estate. I venture in that a little bit, as you may know. But you deal directly with wholesale purchases, correct?
I do.
Tell me a little bit about wholesaling. What does that mean?
Okay, so wholesale has a few different sections that people do. It depends like what's your interest. That is wholesale, what essentially you just literally purchase a property and you pass it through another hand. And this person will flip it. And then wholesale, also there is a section of wholesale where you purchase a property and immediately you remodel it and then you flip it out. So you send them out. So there is a few different variants of how to do it and what we do. I have experience with clients who do wholesaling by just passing it from one hand to another one.
Yeah.
They make the fast money and is free of headaches, per se.
Yeah, and I guess my experience with wholesale, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, you are the expert, Miss Sady. If somebody has a property and they want to sell a particular home and they don't want to go on an active market, they don't want to deal with agents, they can come across an investor, and that person is more of like a broker, kind of an exchange person. They don't really take on the listing, but they coordinate the contract so somebody else purchases it.
So basically, they go through what is called an assignment. So essentially, you're selling the property. You don't want to deal with real estate. You don't want to deal with showings. You don't want to deal with any of that stuff. So the buyer, the wholesaler, or the person who's interested in getting the deal takes a contract that we call an assignment. So he accepts the property. Then he finds the buyer who is going to be committed to close the deal.
Yeah, because I think in this environment right now, and I like a Miss Sady is a real estate agent, and we're from?
What?
We're from? What brokerage are you with?
Kenneth James Realty.
Kenneth James. So it's not a common brokerage, right? It's not one of those bigger ones.
It's a small brokerage, small boutique brokerage.
Do you like that? Do you like that better than like the bigger ones?
I like it because I get more personalized advice when it's needed.
Yeah.
And the big brokerage tend to be a little bit, they're great, don't take me wrong. It's just they have so many agents that it makes it a little bit difficult when you have, real estate is, every transaction is unique. Every transaction you have to turn off fires. Yeah. And then if you don't have your broker by your hand, you won't, it could be a huge thing for a successful transaction. Yeah. So having a brokerage right next to you is a huge thing.
Yeah, because I think in this environment right now, because we talk about money, we talk about investments, people, buyers, the ones and the people I come across, they're looking for an opportunity, looking for a deal. And I've gotten questions regarding land. I want to build a house, but they really don't. I mean, the ambition is there. The desire is there. But they I want to get into fixing and flipping. I want to do wholesaling, but it's led with a lot of ignorance, and not necessarily in a bad way. It's just like, hey, I don't know the whole environment. I don't know, who to talk to, but it's a great idea. The whole, when people watch those selling sunset videos or like Netflix, and they're like the $2 million listings, people get really excited about real estate. But with wholesaling, is there challenges with that? With doing that, brokering out a wholesale deal.
The challenges with that is that because it's a really fast transaction, it needs to get done. Sellers are doing this transaction because they're going through hardship times, and they need to,
Fast
for
cash.
whatever reason, they need to cash out. So as an investor, you need to have the money available within minutes. If a property comes out, you literally have to open escrow within 5 seconds. Basically, to make sure that you get it, because when it's a wholesale, it's obviously a property that is valuated a lot lower than what the market will say, and we have a lot of people in that area that are just looking for deals to snag them and then send them out.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't sound like it's for the common person. So, like, if if I'm just a 9 to 5, I go to my job and I want to get a loan for a house or a wholesale deal. I'm like, because the idea of wholesale, you're paying less. Wholesale pricing means you pay less than market pricing. Market pricing right now has just gone crazy, right? I mean, you see a house is going on market, 20-30% year over year, and it gets a little intimidating. And you want to be that person that gets the deal, right? Mm-hmm. And you're the deal maker, right? If somebody was to look for a property and it was off market, they'd probably call Sady, because she knows a lot, right? She knows the undertone, the undercurrent of housing, right?
Correct. And the other thing to keep in mind with wholesaling is that when you're buying these properties, you don't know what you're buying. You know the square footage, you know the house upside. Sometimes you don't get access to see the property. Yeah. So if someone is going to do that and you happen to have a client, always let the client know, like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Because we can find a mess over there and you need to be ready to deal with this. Those are one of the biggest challenges when you buy in a wholesale property, that you don't know what you're buying inside.
So I guess from what I'm gathering is that you need to kind of have a cast iron stomach and be ready for whatever, right? It's like a sight unseen purchase. You're buying it because of the price, not because of the mess that you're getting into. However, if you're spending, I'm guessing these deals are anywhere from $200,000-$300,000 in cash. You probably want to know kind of what you're buying, right? Is that the case? Is that the ability to see those things?
Is that the common sense? But you will have. Sometimes there are properties that you have the flexibility to go and see them, but there will be properties that you will buy them blindly. So essentially, you need to know what are you walking on. If you know the area, you know the neighborhood, you know the floor plans in those properties, then go for it. But if you completely new at this, just do a little bit of background check in any area that you're interested to move forward with this type of things.
So it sounds like you're pretty attuned to a lot of these things, and you've been at it for the last 4 years. Is that correct? And I'm sure it's a lot of fun, getting into real estate myself too. It's a lot of fun. You see these shows on Selling Sunset, and I think they take a slice of the exciting parts of those things. And they really just kind of, solicit the hell out of those, because that's what gets people to watch. But there is a very real side of that. A real side of it is like, hey, I don't know what the hell I'm buying.
Correct.
And so, like, when you actually approach a property, you're like, okay, so what are the first things you look for, or at least signs that you see?
I usually want to go and see the property inside if it is ideal. Yeah. Look the property inside. You have a few minutes. You take pictures. You look at the roof. You look at the air conditioning. You look at the walls to make sure that there's no issues with the structure of the property, and that will give you a good idea. Yeah. Now the other thing is, see how they taking care of the house. Yeah. That's going to tell you if the house looks taken care of, like, hey, they've been taking care of this house for a while, so that means I'm not going to find too many big issues. However, if the house is messy and you have an idea of the things that you see up there, then you have to be a little bit more prepared. Probably you're going to have to be working all the electrical issues. Plumbing probably is going to be issues. So those are things to be prepared big time.
Yeah. So when I bought my house back in October, and I've been in somewhat of the industry for a while now, and I thought I can go in there and just like, hey, I know people, I can do this, and do this. But there is a whole other side to just going in and flipping. The idea of like going in there and being like, oh, I can do the floors, and then I can do the cabinets, and then I can do the appliances, and boom, and I can sell it in 30 days. And that's not always the case, right?
No, I had actually a client, short story. Yeah. She purchased a home.
Oh, boy.
She thought yes, this is my first time. I'm going to do it. She purchased the house. Because she didn't have what we call an inspection in a traditional real estate transaction, there was no way that she knew what was coming.
Yeah.
So her dream of getting and flipping this house, it turned out to be a nightmare where she needed to spend the $70,000 instead of spending $20,000.
Yeah.
Because she thought that, hey, I'm going to do this and this and this and this, and boom, gone. No. When she went in, the entire roof needed to be replaced. And that alone was a lot of money. So she went through a very hard, painful experience with that. That's because I said, if you're going to get into this business, make sure that you understand and you already have the connections, you already have the people that will do the work, people that do the roof, people that does the floors, the plumbing, the electricity. Have those people already in your list that if you purchase something, you can immediately start acting and working on the property.
Well, and I think part of that too is like I said, a lot of people lead with ambition. So a lot of investing and the things that we put our money into, because really at the end of the day, we're putting our money into an investment in hopes of a gain. So we hope to sell it at a higher price, or it's more personal where we're buying it for a long term, like we want to grow a family there and retire there, and have our grandkids come and visit us. So there are either financial investments or personal investments, and really it comes down to a lot of emotions, correct? And the people that do wholesaling, again, I think the emotion of it, from what I'm gathering, is that you have to have a cast iron stomach for just about anything to go wrong.
Yep, that is correct.
And funding, really. I mean, really the money part too.
Correct. So that's so in the wholesaling also there is this small subdivision per se where you can be just the coordinator. You can be just the person who gets it from this point and sell it to this point. So when you just do that during the transaction, you do what is called an assignment. You don't have to deal with any of that. You just go take pictures, send them out, and sell it. And then you don't have to worry about that. Now, the ones that are doing wholesaling and taking those properties for themselves because they want to expand their portfolio, that's where you got to be basically, okay, what I need to prepare myself for.
Yeah, and having an agent, having a procuring agent, there are some costs there too, right, to have to facilitate that. Because as a wholesaler, as the person negotiating those contracts, you want kind of your cut too, correct?
Yes.
Because everybody that's in this game is in it for money. I mean, that's the bottom line. And as a wholesaler, I would believe you would want to decrease the amount of money that you put into it as possible. So there's a lot of negotiating on all ends, and there's a lot more than just the physical house that you have to consider, because there's title fees, right? And then there's brokering fees. Somebody's got to find you the deal, right? They don't work for free if they're going to find it for you.
Correct.
When we were doing flips, it would take anywhere from like 6 to 9 months to procure something, because again, people are in their situation, and sometimes it takes several months for that situation to manifest or to facilitate out. One guy that we did, his name was Bob, and he took about 6 months to get him out of the house, and because he was going into retirement, and part of that was getting the state to sign off on his ability to sign, because he was not functional, he was older, but he owned the house. And so there's a lot of things in there that distressed properties involved, and it's not just going in there and it's not always a 30-day quick thing.
No, it's not. It's not as easy as sometimes we make it seem.
Aren't you on Selling Sunset? Aren't you on one of the brokers or the agents on like the TV show? You look like one.
No, I know.
She's very Colombian. Right? Colombian, right?
No, thank you. But I'm not. It's not as easy as sometimes we make it look. That anything can go wrong in a transaction, but at the same time, there are transactions that can be going really easy. One of the things, like you mentioned early, is getting the people out of the property and wholesale. That could be a huge situation, because you buy in a property essentially that sometimes it's occupied, and maybe it's not the owner who is occupying the property, maybe it's a renter. So then you have to worry about either finding them a rental property, and that's something that the wholesaler will have to do to make sure that the property is vacant when you're sending it to the other hands. Yeah. And that can be a little bit messy.
Oh boy, I'm sure there's some stories there. We're here with Sady Flynn, I'm sorry, the name of the brokerage again?
Kenneth James Realty.
Kenneth James Realty, and we're talking about wholesaling. So if you have any comments or questions regarding wholesaling investments in that kind of particular field, if you're like, I'm thinking, this market's kind of crazy, I want to talk to a wholesaler. I think they can get me a deal. That's what we're talking about today. So as far as investments go, and wholesaling is an investment vehicle, but you have to have, from what I'm understanding, cast iron stomach.
Absolutely.
And available funds, because no bank's going to give you a deal on a pretty bad property with people in it, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Most of the loans that I've experienced have to have a 30-day occupancy if you want to do as a primary residence. And then if you want to do it as an investment, you typically have to put more down. If you even have a situation where they'll even take a loan, because sometimes these homes don't take loans. Have you ever done a loan on a property?
Yes. So now there's a lot of options up there. Actually, even for investment properties for long term, investment properties short term. So that people are getting very creative on lending money. And not necessarily, FHA loans or any this type of regular for a traditional loan.
Yeah.
There are a few companies out there now that are opening their doors to invest money to people who has the interest on flipping houses or on doing wholesaling. They will back you up with the cash. So there is a few options up there. You just have to look at it and meet the requirements.
So who are your biggest competitors right now then? Because obviously you have to go and procure these houses. I could see somebody competing, with your brokerage, because if you're very specific to wholesale properties, I'm sure one of your biggest competitors is like We Buy Ugly Houses people, right?
The bigger one. Honestly, I can't even count them with my hands how many people is in this business. There is a lot of competition up there. There is a lot of competition. That's all I'm going to say. We have a lot of competition.
There's a story.
But at the same time, you work together
Yeah.
through some of those deals. Because at the end of the day, I might have something that you do not have, but you have the buyer from me. So we all work together on the same path.
What do you got?
Even though we're in competition to get those listings, we still work together to get the same to get the deal done.
Well, and talking about that too, there's a lot of emotions involved in all this process.
Correct.
I don't know if you have any stories or anything you can reflect on, but when you're out there buying a house right now, this market is just so emotional in the way people operate. People offering more than over asking, more than what's reasonable for them and their situation, but they need a place to live, right?
Yes.
And are you still seeing some of that? Because I would assume that you come across more investors who don't get that emotion in there, but I'm sure there's some people that do, right?
You see the emotion through the seller side. Right now, as a matter of fact, I have a young 28 lady who just got divorced, and divorce can be messy. Now they have to sell the property.
Yes,
she doesn't want to go to the market. So she wants to sell the house through a wholesale situation. So she wants me to get her an investor or a cash buyer that can just come buy the house and be done with it. But, I sat down with her yesterday, and it was heartbroken for her. This is my house, what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go. Yeah. But I'm getting divorced, and I need to sell the house so I can get my ex-husband away from me. So, it can be very heartbreaking, because we have to listen to those stories basically every single day. And, the best thing that we can do for them is like, okay, let's see how can I find you a solution so you can move forward.
So it sounds like there's a lot of things in there, but do you have any deals? I mean, what do you got over there? What's in your Rolodex? Do you know what a Rolodex is?
No.
Nobody knows what Rolodexes are. If you know what Rolodex is, please put that in the comment section below. You don't know what a Rolodex is? It's like a roll of different phone numbers and things, like information you keep on there. So if you need to look something up or somebody up, you got it right there in your little Rolodex. No? Am I too old? How old are you?
I'm 41. I'm going to be 42.
We're the same age. You're supposed to know what a Rolodex is. Anyway, Robert Morales with Sady Flynn talking about wholesale deals. She is, again, your brokerage one more time, miss?
Kenneth James Realty.
Kenneth James. If I could remember that, if I wrote it down, actually I'd remember it, but I screwed up and we started the show too late today. which was my fault. It wasn't Sady's. So I did want to talk a little bit about, because we do talk about finances and the things that, bring us hopefully money, using wholesale housing, the housing market. It's an asset class that people do leverage on. They do sell and flip. They do make money on the long-term and short-term meaning flips, long-term meaning sometimes rentals, or just property that sits there and appreciates in value, because sometimes just letting a property sit there over time, like land, will bring you money. I have a client that I have 2 lots in Vernon right now. So those both lots, one was purchased for $5,000, but now we're listing it for $35,000, like 10 years later. So I mean, just buy and hodl. So as we get into a little bit more investments, I did want to bring up some trustees or notice of trustee sales, and you can reflect on these. I don't know if you're seeing a little bit of this too. Let me get your face out of there. So this is basically in Maricopa County. This is the notices of trustees. So I think what people are hoping for is that big crash, right? I keep hearing about like, there's going to be a crash, there's going to be a crash, there's going to be a crash. And when we look at the crash back in 2009-ish, I would say that's probably the peak right there, right? That's the notice of foreclosures. So these are 90 days out from being foreclosed on. And with this spike in March of 2009, that's probably the highest peak we've ever had. Do you know where we're at today?
I don't know where we are today,
it's
but
right there.
Anyone that is expecting anyone,
it's in front of you.
anyone, he's like, he's right there, right there.
That was a hint. That was a cue in there.
I'm so focused on making my point.
It's because you're staring at me. That's why.
Yeah,
I'm very. We talked about how attractive I was before we got.
I just don't see. I see the numbers and I see everything. Yeah. But if we go, you are every day out there dealing with clients. Yep. So do I. Yeah. And we also know the number of families that are moving to our state. So even if we get a crash, which I don't believe that's coming. Sorry, please do not.
That's not financial advice. It's not a quote. Don't take you for what you're.
It's just a personal opinion for what I had seen. If we keep having these numbers of family moving to Arizona, so from December to January, we have per day 640 families per day moving to Arizona.
That's our net migration right now.
So obviously, we don't have enough inventory. So we still now, slow down a little bit in December because everybody is celebrating the holidays and all that stuff. And then January 15, markers are going up. And now we're going back to last week. For one client, I had to submit about 10 offers before we have one accepted. So,
so it sounds like it's on the wholesale side just as significant too.
Yeah, it's the same situation. So and you're not really seeing it slowing down. So whether it's wholesale or it is regular real estate business right now, which is, all the immigration that we have is just coming by and
Yeah, and so the whole reason I put up the chart there, because I did want to reflect on that. Again, you deal mostly with distressed properties. Yes. And when people are anticipating, I think, a crash, or you watch the news stories, and again, I think the focus that I try to do is Phoenix here. I don't really try to do national numbers. When you think of in terms of distressed property, hey, right now is the time, I'm gonna save up because I know the crash is coming. I don't necessarily see it as reality, and you point that out yourself with this chart that I'm showing here. This is the most number of notices of foreclosure that were given out in a month, and we have March of 2009 as the most I've seen in the last 10 years, at 10,000 notices given.
Okay.
And so when people are saying, I'm waiting for the crash, we got to get pretty damn close to that number, because honestly, we're way down here. Right now, as of December, we're giving about 83 notices of foreclosure. So if there is a crash coming, it's a long ways to get to the 2009, what I think people remember and what they want. This is per month. This isn't like tomorrow or anything. None of this is tomorrow. So if you're waiting for a crash, which is what a lot of the things that I get to hear about, I'll just wait. I'll just wait for a crash. It's not in the near future. I will say that. If I may be poignant in the way I speak, it is not going to happen tomorrow. So I did. So do you invest in it? Do you know? Because I want to wrap up today's show a little bit talking about the markets and kind of things. Do you pay attention to stock markets and the way those operate?
I am under the cryptocurrency
Oh no shit, huh?
train.
What do you got? What's on
I
your,
have some Litecoin. I have
some Litecoin?
Litecoin.
Why
yes.
Litecoin? Why Litecoin?
I bought Litecoin about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit of a baby when it comes about investment. I like to do the long-term type
pulling it up right
investment. So I purchase it and I just let it sit over there. I have some Shiba. I have Doge.
Are you a Shiba millionaire?
I'm close to.
I got 2 million shares of Sheep too. I mean, it cost me a whole like $100, but
Yeah, I had like,
it's like penny
80
stocks.
million.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So
Oh,
5 years, 10 years from now,
she's more
hopefully
into
it
it than
pays
I am.
out.
Oh boy. I couldn't pull up Litecoin. TradingView doesn't do a whole lot in Bitcoin, but I do have Bitcoin here. Do you have any Bitcoin?
I have some shares, but I don't have like a whole coin.
You don't have a whole coin.
No.
Are you really into Bitcoin? Really? Like
Yeah.
this is the day for Satoshi not to be here. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, but how do you see cryptocurrency as an asset class? Do you see it as like crypto as a speculative class, or do you actually see it as an asset?
I think it's an asset and it's going to become a life-changing for people in society within the next 15 to 25 years. We will be in a different times with cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, the only hesitation, I guess, if I'm a contrarian, is that, the federal government put so much regulation on Bitcoin that they want to emphasize in the utilization of the Fed coin. They want to get into their own digital currency and they be able to manipulate and monitor just like how they do fiat right now. So that's one of the things that I'm concerned about Bitcoin. They're going to heavily regulate it, just like China. They're going to prevent people from utilizing it. And so that's the only hesitation, I guess, long term. Short term, I think there's a lot of play there, and I do believe it does have an asset-ish. But as of late, I mean, it's not performing the greatest. I mean, let me pull it up since we're talking about it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Say that one more time.
So I will look at from this
Didn't
point
go
of
for
view.
it. Oh, sure. All right. Yes.
Years ago we didn't have a phone.
Oh, here we
And
go.
then we came.
I've heard this
we
analogy
made
before.
the phone.
Here's
Years ago,
Bitcoin.
you had like this thing called beeper for text messengers. Now we have an iPhone where we can see each other, we can talk to each other, we can text, we can do business in our phones.
I would almost call Litecoin a beeper. I mean, I think Bitcoin is really the iPhone. And just to be honest, to be fair,
that's fine. I'm okay with my beeper.
I think Shiba is like one of the beeper with the weather on it. Remember those beepers? I was so jealous when my friend got the one with the I don't even watch sports. It had the sports updates and then it had the weather, and I'm like, I want that beeper. If anybody remembers beepers, go ahead and put that in the comment section. Angela said, please explain about that, but I don't know exactly what she was asking about. Maybe she can fill us in what she was asking about. But Bitcoin, I do believe in it. I don't know how, and I guess only time will tell, right?
Correct.
I don't know about Litecoin. I for sure don't know about Litecoin. I invest in Shiba just as much as Litecoin. That's why I only have like 2 million shares, not 80. Oh boy, you really went into
To me, it's like
Shiba.
a little bit of investment. I just leave it there, and then when I'm ready to retire, then that should be 10, 15 years from now. I should be doing pretty good.
So awesome. So Sady Flynn here with, again?
Kenneth James Realty.
I got to write that shit down. I'm sorry. So Kenneth James Realty, I want to end the show today. We're at the very last minute. I do want to talk about, since we're here to talk about wholesale, and if anybody has any questions, they can go back and watch your information and kind of your take on things. I did want to end the show today reflecting upon the iBuyer. And really regards to four stocks, since we coincidentally are a stock show sort of. One of the stocks I want to talk about was Open Door. Thoughts, questions? What are your thoughts on Open Door?
For what I'd heard, there is a lot of big expectations to be one of the.
Big cojones?
Yes.
I know Spanish. I do know Spanish.
Yes, that's what I've been reading about it. So it's supposed to be big.
Yeah,
So,
their business structure is flipping, and as tight as the wholesale market, as tight as the distressed property market is. I mean, you could see like in the previous chart, there's just very few inventory. So I don't see Open Door as a large player. And it's a diminishing player, and it's really reflective in the stock price. And I do believe, like people, investors, and part of why I look at it's not only Open Door. I'll put the other ones here. Redfin is very similar. We have Zillow in a very similar situation, all trading below the 200. All basically crashing as a stock. I mean, the whole stock market's crashing, but these in particular, I look at more for investment sentiment. Mm-hmm. So I want to see where investors are regarding these. I mean, Zillow in itself is a different platform because they do advertise to agents. They never were a real estate company. They were just the information just happened to be real estate, but they were really largely just information-based company. That's all they were. And I do believe they got, probably some more advertising, a lot of what their the revenue was advertising. But I do believe they were getting a lot more attention with their estimates because those tended to be very elevated amounts. And it bit them in the ass. Honestly, it bit them in the ass when they did that because they tried to get into this game and they failed miserably. Personal opinion. That's just it.
And I will agree with you. I think we can agree.
We can agree to agree.
Yeah, we will agree to agree on that one.
Redfin is kind of one of those hybrid ones where it not only does advertising, but it does have their own brokerages. I don't believe they do flips. I just think they do heavy advertising, and they just do listings. They're just a normal brokerage, from my understanding.
Yes.
Open Door heavily into flipping. So, but as you can see, the indices in every single one of these, if you look at XLRE, it's the same thing. You have that similar sentiment somewhere around the beginning of the year, just completely crashed. So this gives me some framework regarding investments and people looking into wholesaling, looking into investment into distressed property, where investment sentiment isn't there. It's kind of diverging and separating itself. So the big question is, and this will be the remaining question as we end the show today, where are people parking their money?
Where are people what?
Putting their money. Where are they putting it?
I think a lot of people are putting their money on real estate.
Honestly, that was my answer too.
It's just it's a more secure, valga la redundancia. Sorry, little Spanish there.
You are Colombian, so it's okay. We forgive you.
It's a much secure investment, and I think, even though we have a ginormous a millennial group of people,
yeah,
we still have a lot of hybrids, and like myself, that we like to be adventurous, but safe to a degree.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people were still putting their money on investment properties. If you look Open Door, they go and buy, and then they keep it for a while, and then they go and sell it. But that's where they keep doing.
It'd be fun to see you negotiate a deal. I think you'd be very spot on. I know it would be hard to break you. I would tell you that. And that's coming from a negotiator. So, so Miss, we're at the end of the show today. We're way past the hour, but I was having so much fun. I kind of let things run a little bit. You get the last word, though. So is there anything you want to share or anything you want to share with anybody here watching this?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's been truly an honor.
I'm going to put this on while you're talking.
And if you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to reach out, and we will be happy to respond to those questions. And, but thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, absolutely. So if you have any distressed property out there, obviously, let me know first. But you can also call Sady on her website. So if you go to homesnap.com/Sady or Sady, you can contact her regarding your distressed property, or you can just contact her here, and we'll put you in touch. So I think that's it. Anything else? Good?
Eso es todo por el día de hoy. Gracias.
Oh, hello.
Thank you so much.
Well, hello. So thank you. We're going to be here next Friday. I don't know if Sady's going to come back. I would be sad if she didn't, but hopefully she is. So every Friday we come at you here on Finance Friday talking about money, talking about things that you can put your money in, or whatever. So Rob Morales, RCA Network. We'll catch you guys next week.